winter is here. And I don't know, we're adventuring through the mountains here onto our next journey. I'm not gonna lie, I actually can't remember if the plan was for the certification thing for FRIEREN, or if this was just normal like course that we were supposed to be taking. Regardless, we're doing this. We're no longer chilling with our monk boy. He switched up. He wanted to leave. And I'm assuming we'll see him again at some point, but probably not in the close future here. Direction wise, I have no clue where they're going to end up heading from here, but just excited to see where it goes. If you like it all, the like and subscribe to me, to me, favorite for the discussion. Leave me comments for this episode or series. Toho show, it's going to get blocked at some point. So when that happens, if there's no reaction here, just check link in the description or comments and you could still watch that. Let's go. I absolutely adored this episode for literally everything that it does, and I think it's wonderful. I think it's such an intriguing way to bring up the idea that we've gone over before, how history can kind of get lost over time, right? Through whether it be these texts that they use with FRIEREN and her master and all this stuff that's kind of that's brought down, and then all these fakes and all this other stuff comes out, and it's hard to tell what's real and what isn't, and how that actual person probably felt and what actually was, and then all these other stories that have happened before. We had the one with the flower and cleaning off the statue and stuff, and how people just don't, over time, like they don't have the same impact or don't have the same effect. Like these certain historic moments in history and these people and these things don't impact people the same way that it did for the people of the time. So more and more over time, people are going to care less and less, and the ones who do end up caring are going to be able to constantly try and pass that down to others through telling stories and stuff. But it becomes less and less people to a certain point that nobody's going to be able to anymore. So you have to kind of play your part and be able to do it and give off as much as you kind of can to other people. Part of Stark's whole reason for this journey is be able to get back and tell his stories and share those things with Isaac, and be able to have all these unique memories and these things that he can kind of pass down in these historic stories, which is such a interesting thing for you to be able to do. And we play with that again here, behind the idea that even things that seem so relevant have been kind of skewed within the ways of history now. Something that has happened not even less than 100 years ago. The actual story and these things have been kind of warped to fit more of a specific narrative that people can understand, with the hero sword that we end up coming up to here, where Himmel wasn't actually able to pull this out. It's one of these things that's looked to be this destined thing. Somebody's going to be able to pull it out, right? Somebody's going to be able to do this. But at the end of the day, even the guy who's looked at as Himmel, the hero, he is that guy who literally did what nobody else could, going and defeating the Demon King and whatever else. One of the greatest adventurer, I would assume that you would say, the greatest hero that has lived. And at the end of the day, even he wasn't enough, right? This predetermined thing that everybody kind of looks up to. He will be the chosen one, the one to do this, all of this. They tell a fake story at the end of the day to make other people kind of believe it and buy into him a little bit more. But at the end of the day, does it matter? Right? He still went out and accomplished and did all the things that he said he was going to, did all the things that everybody assumed that the hero who came and claimed the sword would actually be able to do at some point. So regardless if he was able to, does it actually matter, right? It's not one of these things that is predetermined. It's not one of these things that is just kind of set in stone as it is. And you have the power to not run and to face these things and become a hero or become a person of value, I guess, on your own, regardless of all these things of status and the way that other people might kind of view the ways of the world. And that's something that seems to play a constant reminder throughout Stark, throughout this entire thing, or not constant reminder, but just this thing that is stuck in his head about this sword. My initial impression when they started showing it and having him look at it like all funny was the idea that he would actually be like secretly this person who was able to actually kind of lift it out. And while he might be, very well could be, I think that we're playing more into the idea that it doesn't matter if he can, right? He's this person who viewed Himmel and viewed all these people as like such extraordinary people. And he kind of looks down and has this self-doubt of himself because he's scared that he might run and he's a coward, or he's, you know, not this sort of hero or actual warrior in which that he can live up to. He's been always constantly brought up as we get through his backstory and stuff of how warriors should act in certain moments, or how they just should uphold themselves as people. But we get to see his brother, somebody who kind of went against that a little bit. And he constantly has these reminders now in his mind as he starts hearing these different stories from Fern and the others that maybe it's okay, I'm still here at the end of the day. I haven't run when I'm with these people, and when it actually really matters, I haven't been able to, and I've been able to protect and care for these people as much as I possibly can, right? And at the end of the day, if that's kind of all I'm really out here to do, maybe I am accomplishing what I am, and I am a real warrior at the end of the day. So despite what this thing that's kind of stuck in this rock that you won't be able to pull out because it's this thing that you believe is kind of set in stone, right? It's a method, a way, a thing that people kind of have this mindset of what this thing actually is. There's other ways to kind of approach it and go about these things, and some people don't view it the same way. The people stuck within their own ways and stuck within inside that you were kind of trained and brought up by within your family and whoever else who view you and the way of a warrior as a certain thing, plenty others on the outside might not actually view it that way. And it's just funny how like the ways that with the people within kind of view things differently, but also how people on the outside do. And just how this is a constant reminder in him that he doesn't have to be, held to that same standard or that same thing. And if he constantly keeps going out and doing whatever he is, it can work out pretty well at the end of the day, which I really, really like. I really love the idea too of us not telling the truth with the whole Himmel story, because somebody like him who is a hero doesn't deserve in their eyes to have like these negative stories and these things played out about them. And then also, if you start kind of coming out and saying, oh, he wasn't able to pull this thing out, he didn't claim the real hero sword, right? People are going to start doubting you, regardless if you did kill the Demon King or not. People are going to start, putting doubt on you or saying that you weren't like a true hero and you just got lucky or whatever happened, right? Like, and they're going to create these narratives and these things. I mean, that's at least what happens in our world today. So I assume that would happen here. And it kind of sucks, right? So why should we shed any negative light onto these people and the things that they're doing? We probably shouldn't. We should kind of leave it as it is. And I really respect and appreciate the approach that they kind of have there. Beginning's very fun with Frieren passing out and them having to kind of treat her like this. It's a funny dynamic too, because Fern's like the motherly figure, like within or with everybody here, so like the way that she kind of approaches things and like looks after them. But Frieren's like so good at like kind of being a master and leading them into certain situations, and then even at the end took on like a bit of a role, it seems like, that with making the present and everything for Stark. So it's really funny, and I like that a lot. We get these stories of the hero sword and how all that stuff works. I love the little gag that keeps going on where Stark tries to hold Frieren so Fern doesn't have to, and she refuses to let him, simply just because, one, it's weird the things that he keeps doing with his hands, but two, I guess probably just because he's a guy and she's a little bit concerned about like what his true motives and intentions are, which is funny because it comes full circle at the end where she starts like being like, no, he's a gentleman, he would never do that, and then immediately catches him in front of the clouds, which I think are great. We made this girl who's our village chief, which I think is funny, the granddaughter of the girl that Frieren met like 80 years ago and became the chief at this point. Her trying to make herself look bigger is really cute, and they kind of just go through the history of all of the stuff, which I think is great for the most part of what we kind of talked about. Frieren getting so excited in front of the warm fires, well, I love. And then we come back because we ultimately have to protect these people, or protect the people of this village, and we have to kill off all of these different beasts and stuff that arrive who are drawn to the sword apparently, but can't get in due to the barrier and everything. So that is pretty cool. We get some fun animation and some other stuff, and then the big old lord shows up, and he is very fucking big. I love Frieren's just like, I'm gonna stand here and you guys have work to do, and then ultimately when I'm fully protected to cast what I want, we can do it. It works. They have a really good dynamic, like all of them work and complement each other extremely well. But I think just like her approach and her like, are you guys gonna do anything, like is pretty funny. We start telling the story about Himmel and how the thing happened and how it doesn't fucking matter, because at the end of the day he's still accomplished and went out of his way to do the things that he does, and this has a lasting impact and a thing that kind of is affecting Stark, right? It gets him reflecting on these memories and these things, how it's okay to not follow in those ways, which I think is great. We move into our second half of the episode where Frieren is the most adorable person ever, and they give us some great moments here with her face. They give us the feet for free, which is fantastic, right? And then we also get this, which is even better. I love how Fern just immediately is like, yeah, you want to fuck around and do stupid shit like this by giving Stark this kind of present, and just dumps it on her instead. I think is funny. And then her being able to find this note within it of the secret recipe, basically, right? And figures out a new idea, and probably a better one. Honestly, I think he would have preferred the first one, but the hamburger steak still good. Still a good thing. Fern going on her journey to find Stark because she doesn't know what to give him for his birthday, of course. Ultimately ends up finding a bunch of people that she kind of asks and figures out where he is, that he's been helping a lot of people all day, right? He comes out here early, he helps a bunch of people, he does whatever he has to. He's just a good person at the end of the day, and it starts making her probably view him in a better light, right? Until she ultimately comes up and he starts looking at the clouds and his visions and thoughts on them immediately go away. She struggles, as she probably does feel like she's way more mature than everybody else that she has to deal with, which I think is great. And then we get the whole birthday thing where he's never really celebrated, he's never been given gifts, he's never been any of this stuff, and he doesn't really, understand because of his upbringing and his backstory, which we get to be introduced with him and his brother and everything, which I think is a great thing. Concerned with the idea behind constantly running and not being enough, but at the end of the day has always been there as a person who is stuck by all these people since he's kind of joined on this journey, and he's helped plenty of people, the previous village and everything that he was at, even though he viewed himself as a coward and he was kind of scared for those reasons. I just love Fern's line also of just like, you haven't run yet and we won't let you when it comes. Which is really sweet though, and just letting him know basically like, we are here for you, like we worked through this together, like it's not all gonna fall on you, and if we as a group want to run, we're gonna run it, which is a cool thing. I also love him deciding, oh, I gotta get this gold one. Being like, absolutely not, we cannot afford it. And then a really cute moment here where we get to see he has like the bracelet on, which I think is really great. There's a lot of I don't know the right word. I don't think tension's the right word. There's something within me though. I ship these two incredibly hard. I'm not gonna lie. It's been hitting, especially for recent. And then we get like scenes like this, and it hits even harder, which I think is great though. FRIEREN showing up here, being our chef, is absolutely adorable too, and I love it. And her being able to completely relate because they are so awkward with the way that they approach and handle all these situations, I think is great too. Ultimately being able to have this recipe, and this is exactly how warriors celebrate, right? They celebrate everybody's birthday and enjoyment through giving something along these lines. And I also love how she pulls this back out. She's like, oh, this would be, I still got a little, bro. And then Fern's constant remarks of calling him a pervert, I think, are great too. It's great. I love it so much. It's absolutely adorable of an episode. And I really love a lot of the stuff that they were kind of getting at too. And it's up there as one of the more, I guess, standalone, like individual stories that they kind of tell throughout it that I think I enjoy a lot more. So it's probably up there in the upper half of episodes that I've enjoyed so far, which I think is saying a lot because every single one's been fucking great. So that's gonna be all for me though. I hope you enjoyed half as much as I have. If you liked it all though, hit the like and subscribe to me, and a lot to me. Feel free to check out the other videos on the channel, leave me comments for this better series. I will be back for episode 13 next week. You have a good one. Peace.